So you're a songwriter, maybe even a skilled songwriter, but when it comes to recording your music, to capturing it in a digital format, you're completely intimidated. That is what we're talking about in today's video. Welcome to the Songwriting Studio. My name is Dean, and if you've been following along, you know that we're in the second week of an 8-week song challenge where we are writing and completing a song together, and this is now video number 2 here in week 2. And at the beginning of week 2, I said that your homework was to take your initial idea, a verse and a chorus, and to actually record it into a recording program. Now for some of you, that's easy. You're used to doing that. But for others, that is not something you wanted to hear, because you might be a great songwriter, but when it comes to recording, you're a little bit overwhelmed. Well, that is true of a lot of songwriters. So there's no shame in that. And in this video, I want to A, give you some encouragement to help you overcome the fear of recording. And then 2, I want to give you some practicals and kind of demystify the recording process so that you can begin recording your own music. So I want to start by sharing a little bit of my story. It was back in 1987. It was a cold November morning and I was brought into the world. No, I'm just kidding. I started playing instruments as a teenager, as a high schooler, and quickly discovered, man, I love making new songs. I'm not even that good at playing the instrument, but I do enjoy coming up with new sounds and new songs. That was me. And as I progressed on my instrument, my songwriting progressed as well, and I began to write better songs, and I began to write lots of songs and discover how much I really enjoyed the songwriting process. But then I kind of hit a dead end, because once I had written a song with my voice and one instrument, there wasn't a whole lot more I could do unless I got into recording. So long story short, I got my first audio interface, I got a super cheap microphone, and I started just trying to record stuff. And to be honest, I had no idea what I was doing, and I had to ask friends to help me even set it up and get it going, because I'm not a tech person. And then once we got it set up, I still needed a bunch of help just hitting the red button. I didn't know what to do at all. But I had some great friends to help show me the way, and then I had some great teachers to show me even more. And if you fast forward about 8 years, now I'm running a studio as part of what I do for a living. And this is coming from me, someone who is intimidated by recording. I'm not a tech guy, but I've learned the basics and the mechanics of recording, and I really believe that you can too. Oh, seriously? What I was trying to say before my camera battery died is that I hope you can take my little story and find encouragement from it. So with that in mind, let's demystify this recording process a little bit. And number 1, let's talk about what you're aiming for when it comes to learning how to record your music. You do not have to aim to become some high-level recording and mix engineer. That's not even what I'm talking about. I think a more realistic aim, and a very worthy aim, is simply to learn how to capture your voice and your instrument in a solid quality way. And with today's technology and tools, that is very possible. Second, let's talk about the tools you're gonna need. So obviously you're gonna need a recording program, what's called a DAW, a DAW, also known as a digital audio workstation. And there are lots of these programs out there: GarageBand, Pro Tools, Logic, Cubase. There's tons of them. Some are free and some are very expensive. And I would suggest you start with something free, because the free ones are typically easier to use anyways. Now, I love to suggest starting with GarageBand because it's free and it is so easy to use. But it's only for Macs. So if you need an alternative to GarageBand, well, stay tuned. The next video we're doing is some alternatives, some free alternatives to GarageBand. Next on the list is you're going to need some gear to record yourself. And instead of thinking about thousands of dollars and all of this equipment, I really want to boil it down to 2 items. This is what you need. Number 1 is, you guessed it, a microphone. And that can be a cheap microphone, it can be a more expensive condenser microphone. However you want to go at it, you have to have a microphone, because that's what's going to capture your voice and some instruments. The second piece of equipment you're going to need is what's called an audio interface. Essentially, an audio interface works like a translator between your microphone and instruments and the computer, because you can't just plug your microphone or instrument straight into your computer. You need an audio interface as the go-between. Audio interfaces come in all shapes and sizes and varying price points, but typically what they're going to give you is the the ability to plug in a microphone and plug in a guitar, and then have a USB cable that runs out of the back and plugs into your computer so that your sound can travel from you and your instrument straight through into your recording program like GarageBand. Now, if you want to get my recommendations on a microphone and an interface, stay tuned. That is another video that's coming out this week. I just didn't want to make this video too long. And that's about it. That's all you really need. So your goal is not to reach up here for the stars. It's simply to have a program and some equipment that allows you to capture your voice and capture your instrument in a quality way. So I want to wrap up this video by saying, if you're new to recording, don't shun it. You need to tackle this giant, because if you want to get serious about making music, and especially if you want to get serious about sharing music, you've got to learn to record. And honestly, if this was the only thing that you took away from this 8 weeks, I would consider that a huge success. So that is it for this video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to stay tuned to my recommendations on gear and some of my recommendations for GarageBand alternatives. And if you would like to officially sign up and participate in this 8-week song challenge, then you can go over to thesongwritingstudio.com and you can become an email subscriber on the front page.